Today, readers, we're going to work on determining the central idea of a text. Remember, a central idea is a big idea of the text, usually the author's main point or one of the main points, because there are definitely more than one central idea in a text. And each central idea statement is a one-sentence summary of all the important meaning in the text related to that idea. We're still working with the article entitled, "For the World's Poor, Drinking Water Can Kill." And you'll remember that this is an article that first sets out a problem about the lack of clean drinking water, and then the solution, what people were doing to address that problem. I've gone through the process of reading the article closely. First, I previewed it and circled domain-specific vocabulary. I made some predictions about what it was going to be about. Then, I read the article, stopping and summarizing the key details in each chunk as I went. And so here I've got the domain-specific vocabulary circled. I have my annotations in blue on the side, all the way down. I've written in my own definitions in my own words of the domain-specific vocabulary. I've answered the multiple choice questions that make me think about this some more. And now I'm ready to determine the central idea of the text. Step 1 is to start with the title and text features. I'm going to go back and look at those again and see what the most important things were. I have the title, "For the World's Poor, Drinking Water Can Kill." I have deadly illness in the picture. I have the headings, deadly diarrhea and seeking solutions. And so I'm going to go put those things here. World's poor, drinking water can kill, deadly diarrhea and seeking solutions right here as step number 1. Okay, now I'm going to go look for chunks that relate to one another. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read through my chunks and try and decide how are they related. The first one, people don't have access to clean drinking water, risk getting sick, is really a statement of the problem. And then this drinking water causing both illness and poverty explains a little more about why polluted water is a problem. The next chunk is why people can't get fresh water. Okay, it's because it's expensive to make wells, and most of the fresh water is underground. All right, now we're back to more consequences. Children can die from bad drinking water. There's a lot here about how actually water is bad for you. It causes diarrhea and how big the problem is. So this is still all about the problem of drinking water, why we have it, what the consequences of that problem are. And then we're going into a solution right here, seeking solutions. It's all about training people to make wells and make them affordable, and that it seems like it works to control diarrhea outbreaks, and many people are doing this. All right, I'm going to take those ideas and try and really make a quick list of them. So the list is that a lack of clean water causes sickness and poverty, that fresh water is underground, but wells are expensive to get it out. Children are dying from diarrheal disease, but organizations are building wells to help them. The next step is looking for patterns in the words, phrases, or ideas in the text. And what I've done for this is I've gone back up to the text and I've gone through and looked for the words that seemed like the very impactful words in the paragraph. The words that were the big idea words. The words that had an emotional impact or seemed really important. So in the caption, I underlined dangerous and deathly ill. Those both seem fairly dramatic. I emphasized like sick, safe, clean water. And then I started looking for things that repeated. And I kept coming up with these ideas: clean drinking water, risk. Risk to me reminded me of danger. Sick was like being ill, and sick again up here. We had drinking water, drink, polluted, polluted water, illness, sick, polluted water. And then we also had the idea it was hard to grow food and could lead to poverty. So you can see so much repetition of the ideas of sickness or illness and risk or danger and polluted water in this chunk. So I went down to my patterns here, and I'm going to add in those words: dirty, polluted versus clean. And then I continued doing that in the text, and I found all these other references to sickness and illness. I also then started finding diarrheal disease, kill, death, deadly. We already had poverty. There was a lot of focus on children. It was repeated a lot. Then we started having water crisis. There was water crisis, worldwide water crisis, global water crisis. Then there were several repetitions of wells and drilling wells and the organizations that are drilling wells. So those words and ideas seem like they came up again and again. So they must be important. We're going to go on to the last step, which is summarizing the who, what, where, when, why, how, and so. And remember that our central idea is really like a super summary of the big ideas in the text. So using this as a framework will help us get to our central idea. Really what we want to do is get all of this into one statement of a central idea. And if we're going to do two, we could do all one about the problem and then all another one about the solution. So who's this about? And you've discovered there's often many answers to this depending on how you frame it. So who it's about people in poor countries, it's about people in Africa, it's about children, it's about some woman named Petronella. And what I would say when they're talking about really specific people, like Petronella, usually what they're doing, that the author is doing, is trying to put a face on a big problem, and the story is not about that specific person, so it's best to leave that person out. You just really want to talk about people like her, and what's like her in this case is living in a poor country, in this case in Africa, but really this is all over the world. It's global, it's worldwide. So I'm just going to say people in poor countries, which, going back to it, is really what the title was about, the world's poor. So I'm going to say this is about people or children in poor countries. And what are they doing? They're getting sick and they're dying. They're also in poverty. That's another problem they're having. Where is this taking place? Globally, worldwide, partly in Africa, in poor countries everywhere. Why are people getting sick? Well, from polluted water. It's happening now. And how are they getting sick? From diarrheal disease, from the bad water. Okay, we also could do the same thing looking at the solution end. We heard about a man named Dick Greenlee. Again, he's just a specific person who started this organization Water4, but really they said there's many organizations that are working this way. So this is about a bigger issue than just his one company. It's not just about him. What are they doing? They're training people to build wells. You could say they're trying to have access to fresh water. So that's what I put why, but you could put that as what they're doing, and then how they're doing it is by training people to build wells. So this is a little bit circular, and it doesn't matter which one you put where as long as you get them all by the end. So we can say, what are they doing? They're training people to build wells. Where? That company is working in Africa and Haiti, but it's also worldwide, other organizations. Why? Well, they want to provide access to clean water. Now is when it's happening. And how they're doing it is, I'm really responding to how they're responding to diarrheal disease, is they're making clean water from wells available. And that's solving the problem. Okay, so what? Children are dying from bad water, so organizations are building wells. This is a very bare bones so what, and it's the kernel of a central idea. But what we want to try and do is really get all the parts in. And we want to go back and make sure that we've got in all of the domain-specific vocabulary, which I've now lost here, but which was diarrheal disease and access and polluted. And we want to get in all these big ideas that were repeated. So I'm going to try and expand on this statement. Children. Okay, what children are we talking about? Can I say more about who? How about if I say children in poor countries? Because I had both of those up here. Children in poor countries are dying from bad water. How about this? They're dying of diarrheal disease caused by drinking bad water. Okay, well, I have a better word than bad. I can use my vocabulary and say polluted water. All right, children in poor countries are dying of diarrheal disease caused by drinking polluted water. That's better. What am I missing from that? I could say are getting sick and dying. And it's not just children. I could say people in poor countries, including children, are getting sick and dying of diarrheal disease caused by polluted water. How about polluted drinking water? Let's see. Is there anything more else in the problem that I need to get? People in poor countries, including children, are getting sick and dying of diarrheal disease caused by polluted drinking water. So I'm going to finish finding my central idea of the problem. And when I've got that so what done, I finalized it with worldwide. People in poor countries, including children, are getting sick and dying from diarrheal diseases because their water is polluted. I'm going to copy that into the central idea statement for the problem. And a whole nother big central idea is that people are doing something to help this. They're training people to build wells. And so that solution-centered central idea, I'm also going to go through this process of trying to get all of this language and the relevant part of this language into one sentence, and then I'm going to copy it here. Organizations like Water4 are training people in poor countries around the world to drill wells so people have access to clean drinking water. So with two well-crafted central idea statements, one about the problem, one about the solution, you've earned yourself an ES. Good job.